Hi, Matt here again. Right, so I thought I'd give you an update on the Byzantines that I was Byzantines that I was painting up a few weeks ago. So I kind of showcased the Fireforge Byzantines, and I painted 3 of them as just a bit of a test. And now I've basically finished off a small force ready for Baron's War when I start playing that. So, who have we got? On the right hand side here, we've got some basically pretty much skirmishers. In Baron's War, 10% of your troops have got to be green troops. Okay, and it turns out that the spearmen with small shields are essentially green or inexperienced troops. So they're going to be my inexperienced spearmen. I was going to use them as kind of skirmish soldiers, as kind of light infantry, running in with the javelins, and then piling with their swords if they could do. Originally I was going to use them in that way, as kind of light skirmish troops, but I think now they're going to be add another 6 to these 6, and that'll make 12, and that'll give me 108 points out of 1,000. That'll be 10%, which will give me my inexperienced troops. So that's those guys. Okay, they came out quite nice. I quite like the heads, and I'm also a big fan of the way the beards came out as well. I do like these Fireforge minis. The faces have got quite a lot of character, even though they're quite stocky looking. They do have quite a lot of character in the facial features. Okay, those two look a little bit like hobbits, to be honest, but there you go. So, the other small force is my spearmen. These guys are basically going to be probably regular spearmen. Okay, so regular troops with large shields. Okay, in the Baron's War. Okay, these are my swordsmen. Byzantine swordsmen. These are probably going to be sergeants, okay, according to the Baron's War rules. A little bit more experienced, probably veteran sergeants. Okay, give you a little bit of close up of those guys. I really like the way they came out. They seem to appear, especially, and I said this last time, the armour really kind of took off when you kind of paint it with lead belcher and then do a wash with basilican grey contrast paint. It really kind of brings the armour out quite nicely. So I really like those guys. The guy at the back with a slightly bronze helmet, he's going to be the leader of that group. And then my favourites, the archers. I love these guys. These figures are really nice. Okay, they came out really well. And that guy there, right in the centre, the colouring of that, I think it is Sigil brown. Okay, it's contrast paint, and it comes out as a kind of a really dark brownish colour, almost a black colour. And I think what I'm going to do, when I get some, I'm going to get hold of some clerics, some priests, militant priests from Footsore, and I'm going to use that as their colour, paint it, because their habits will look quite cool in that kind of really dark, rich colour. I can imagine priests wearing that colour, okay, in their habits. Again, I really like the faces on these. They look absolutely excellent. They've got lots of character. Okay, so if you're considering Byzantines, you might consider Fireforge. Okay. I was a bit skeptical of them to start with. I thought they were a bit stocky looking. They're a bit like kind of D&D figures. They weren't really very historical in their features and their stances. But I'm really pleased with them. I like the way, especially the archers. I think the archers just look really great, and you can put them in different colours, obviously, because they didn't really have a uniform look in the Byzantine infantry. But yeah, very pleased with those guys. Okay, and very pleased with the Spearmen, I'm not 100% keen on the swordsmen so much, because the kind of the stance isn't very active. They all seem to be just standing around. I'm not too worried about that on the spearmen, because that's kind of what spearmen do, don't they? They kind of stand there with a shield, and that's it. Okay, the logos on the shields, they're transfers that are probably intended for a saga army, okay, from Gripping Beast. But I think the ones I'm most pleased with are the skirmishers. Like I say, I'm probably going to use those as inexperienced spearmen, because according to the Barons War rules, the inexperienced spearmen tend to have small shields. Okay, and so I'm just trying to fit. Now, in addition to these, just to try to get my Byzantine army up to a decent level, I've ordered some Varangian Guard from Mezzer's Minis. Okay, I'll stick a link to Mezzer's in the comments. Varangian Guard, and also I think 4 or maybe 5 or 6 Cataphracts, heavy horse as well. So that will probably do me. So if I had another, I'm going to try and put these in units of 12, because after I've had a couple of play tests, I've found that the Barons War rules tend to work best in kind of units of either 6 or bigger, and so the infantry would probably be either in 6 or 12. The bowmen certainly in a 12, because I think it feels like to me, after a bit of play testing, that missile weapons are really useful in the rules. Okay, so I want quite a few bowmen. I was going to add javelineers. I was going to add these guys as javelineers, and I might still do that actually, just as kind of, to harass the enemy. But Varangian Guard with the 2-handed axes, the elite heavy infantry, they'll really add to the complement all of the troops that are on display at the minute. So like I say, it's only a small force, it's not gigantic, and Barons War is a skirmish game. Okay, it's only skirmish rules, so you're probably looking at a maximum of probably 40-50 figures altogether. Could go bigger, could go a lot bigger. I think the rules will allow that. But a friend of mine, he's painted up a load of early medieval troops. I just thought I wanted to be a bit different. I didn't want to go early medieval all the time. I've got hundreds of War of the Roses troops. Okay, I just wanted something a little bit different from this period. So, 13th, 12th century Byzantines. I think the Varangian Guard were around from about the 10th century to the 14th century. And also that gives it another kind of element as well. There's kind of Danish, Scandinavian warriors that were used as the emperor's bodyguard, because he basically couldn't trust his own Byzantine troops, so he brought in the Varangian Guard. Okay, when I get those, I will start painting those up as well, and I will add them, and I will update you later on the way my small Byzantine force is going. So, cheers, and I will see you soon.